Good morning to all. Very shortly we are going to start our session for the day. Our honorable dignitaries have already arrived. Good morning to all and a very warm welcome on this second day of Annual Judicial Conclave 2023. We are extremely honored and delighted to have amongst us Honorable Mr. Justice Sanjay Karol, Judge, Supreme Court of India. We have the kind presence of Honorable Mr. Justice T. Amarnath Gaur, Chief Justice Acting High Court of Tripura, and Honorable Mr. Justice Arindam Lodh, Judge, High Court of Tripura. At the very onset, I will request our esteemed guests and dignitaries to kindly grace the dais. Now, I would request the Director of Tripura Judicial Academy, Sri Shobbasati Dattapurkayastu, to felicitate Honorable Dignitary, Honorable Mr. Justice Sanjay Karol, Judge, Supreme Court of India, with our traditional Risha, flower bouquet and a memento. Our chief guest being felicitated with Risha and bouquet along with a memento. With this, we will start the fourth business session of our conclave. The topic is general interaction with the judicial officers, and we are extremely honored to have amongst us Honorable Mr. Justice Sanjay Karol, Judge, Supreme Court of India. Mr. Justice Karol got enrolled as an advocate in the year 1986. And during his tenure as a practicing lawyer, he practiced in various courts, including Supreme Court of India, in constitutional, taxation, corporate, criminal, and civil matters. He appeared as a counsel in the interstate water dispute in the Honorable Supreme Court of India. He discharged constitutional duties as Advocate General of Himachal Pradesh from 1998 to 2003. Lordship got elevated as Judge of the High Court of Himachal Pradesh on 8th March 2007. And thereafter assumed charge of the office of the Acting Chief Justice of the High Court of Himachal Pradesh with effect from 25th April 2017 and worked as such till 5th October 2018. Honorable Mr. Justice Karol has been appointed as the Chief Justice of High Court of Tripura on 9/11/2018. He took oath as the Chief Justice of High Court of Tripura on 14/11/2018. His Lordship demitted the office of Chief Justice of High Court of Tripura on 7/11/2019. On his Lordship transferred to Patna High Court as Chief Justice of Patna High Court from 11/11/2019 till he got elevated to the Supreme Court on 6/2/2023. For this session, our speaker is Honorable Mr. Justice Sanjay Karol, Judge, Supreme Court of India, and on the chair we will have Honorable Mr. Justice T. Amarnath Gaur, Chief Justice Acting High Court of Tripura, and co-chair will be Honorable Mr. Justice Arindam Lodh, Judge, High Court of Tripura. So the House is now open for interaction with the judicial officers. Over to you, Lordship.
I welcome you all. It is the time that we all needs to have an interaction session, and our beloved Justice Karol, who was our earlier Chief Justice and now the Judge Supreme Court, needs no introduction. And one thing, the latest thing which most of you don't know, I would like to share a small episode which has happened yesterday. That shows how magnanimous and how humble and the concern Justice Karol is for mankind. In the aircraft yesterday, a lady was informed by airlines personnel that in the first row, a judge is sitting and you cannot sit besides with the child because he will have disturbance. So, though it is a paid seat, they were not given. Then after traveling, in the course, the female was under the impression, how a judge can be like this, that he doesn't like small children to travel along with him. And after getting down, when this information was brought to the knowledge of Justice Karol, that this is the impression airline personnel has expressed with this mother of a young child, then immediately Justice Karol has handed over the flowers which were with him to the mother, child, and pampered them, and the love and affection what he has shown to the child was really amazing. So this shows how affectionate our beloved judge is. So a humble human being and a spiritual soul, and always thinks about positiveness for all the people around him. So I request Justice Karol to start this session. Sir.
On the dais, on my left, Honorable the Acting Chief Justice, Honorable Justice Amarnath Gaur. To my right, Honorable Mr. Justice Lodh. A very good morning to both of my esteemed colleagues. And a very, very, very good morning, pranam, namaskar to my entire judicial fraternity and family, dear judicial officers, the learned registrar, the member of the judge in charge of the Judicial Academy, through you to the entire judicial fraternity, those who are here and those who are not here for the reason that they have to perform and discharge their statutory functions, three of whom I met yesterday. To begin with, I must thank Honorable the Acting Chief Justice for having given me this opportunity, for having remembered me, so to say, on this momentous occasion. I must also thank Honorable Justice Lodh for having invited me on this momentous day. I'm getting sentimental, I'm getting emotional for the reason that today we are celebrating the 10th birthday of this great institution, which is the High Court of Tripura. I think congratulations to all of us who are present here. I must also, off the record, I thought I'll share, but nonetheless from the dais I can speak because we are a family. I must also take this opportunity of belatedly though, congratulating my esteemed colleague Lodh, because yesterday was his birthday. So belated happy birthday, Justice Lodh, to you, please. Friends, Tripura has been a great turning point in my life. I must admit this. How I am going to structure today's interaction is that I'll speak for some time, my experiences, and then leave the house open for discussion on any issue. I need no introduction because most of my family members sitting here know me, they have worked with me, they have interacted with me. Those who have joined the judiciary in the recent past, after 2018, let me share this with you, that I have had the good fortune, and I insist two of my colleagues also to do so, to travel each and every corner of Tripura. It's a wonderful state, wonderful people, well-meaning people. Yesterday I happened to visit one BSF camp where I wrote this, that the people of Tripura are more nationalist, more Indian, more patriotic than those in the hinterland. Generally, you people have a golden heart and you are absolutely broad-minded and open for sharing views and expressing your views, as also listening to the views of the others. This is what really Constitution talks about and asks us to discharge our duties with an open mind. Tripura has been a turning point in my life because when I left Himachal Pradesh, my homeland, and I was asked to take over the responsibilities as Chief Justice of this court. I think, if I am not mistaken, I was the third Chief Justice. Honorable Justice Gupta was the first, the fourth Chief Justice. Justice Bifel was this, Rastogi, and correct. So I travelled the state. The reason was this, that I wanted to know the people, I wanted to know the difficulties which the art, the culture, and unless and until you have a perspective of the problems at the ground level, ground root, at the ground, you would not be able to really dispense justice. So I travelled across the state. I was here for approximately 11 months. And then I was asked to first go to Jharkhand and then go to Patna. And from Patna, as you are aware, God has been kind with the blessings of my parents and above all the good wishes of those with whom I have worked all throughout. Now I am ordained to discharge the judicial functions from the highest court. Indeed, it is a great honor, not for myself, but also for the state of Himachal Pradesh, the state of Tripura, and the state of Patna. And it is only on account of the good wishes of friends like you, whom I have over the years endeared, or who have endeared me in their thoughts and actions, that I have been able to, reach there. To begin with, I would say this, that when Honorable the Acting Chief Justice spoke with me and wanted me to speak on any one of the 4 topics which he gave me, so I said that I would rather interact with my colleagues, with my family, than have a lecture which is undoubtedly of great importance and significance, but it's better to be practical rather than have discussion in abstract. 2 days conclave. I must congratulate Honorable Justice Lord. Speakers have been here. Met one of the speakers yesterday in the flight. The others are here. I am sure you have been brainwashed, so to say, and it must have been very, very heavy on you, so therefore I want to keep it very light. I have great experiences of Tripura, and I must inform the Honorable Acting Chief Justice that in the last 2 years particularly, there is not even a single day that I have not wished well or thought of the High Court of Tripura in my prayers. And the reason is this. First, in my prayers I would always pray of my home High Court, which is Himachal Pradesh. Because for me, I think this place where we discharge our functions is the temple. Undoubtedly, we call it Temple of Justice, but unless and until we adapt ourselves, we conceive and perceive ourselves, our minds in that manner, we are not according to me, not in a position to emulate and discharge our functions. So every day I would think of the Himachal High Court as a place of worship, Tripura High Court as a place of worship, and the Patna High Court where I was discharging my duties as a place of worship. I would also pray this, that those who are adorning these seats in these courts continue to discharge the functions as is mandated under the Constitution, and also as is expected of the judiciary from the people. Because our last ray or hope of the democracy lies in this pillar of democracy, which undoubtedly has to be very, very strong. There's no doubt in our mind, and there should be no doubt in the mind of each one of us, be it the Chief Justice of this court, or Judge of the Supreme Court, or the newly inducted Judge of Tripura, that each one of us have to work with independent mind, proper application, and also maintain our integrity and independence, and the institution has to be built strongly with each passing day. I would also say this, that democracy, we always say that there are 4 pillars. When I came here, because I have served the institution, the executive as the Advocate General, I was always of this view that insulation and isolation of the judiciary is must, undoubtedly. But we have a stake in democracy under the Constitution. We cannot shut our eyes. We cannot become untouchable to the executive. I am not talking of the political executive, but I am talking of the executive. So we cannot become untouchable or make them untouchable. For after all, we have to work here with a common object and common purpose. And that being to render justice in accordance with law, which is quick, just and expeditious. My experience of Tripura has helped me, I must acknowledge this, in dealing with the larger High Court, perhaps one of the biggest High Courts of the country, and that is the Patna High Court. When I went to Patna, I was not quite sure, honestly, that how I would be handling that place. You can't imagine, there are 102 of you here. There I had 1600 judicial officers. At the High Court, the strength of the bar was 18,000, with 3 bar associations at the level of the High Court. So there was a coordination committee and I had to handle that court. But how did I handle that court? And I must acknowledge this, that the personal rapport which I had developed with the judicial officers here, who worked with me 24/7, and I will not fail to acknowledge the contribution of my personal staff, including Pradeep, who is sitting here, who worked with me tirelessly. I had 2 colleagues, Honorable Justice Talapatra and Brother Lodh, who travelled with me extensively. We interacted with each of the bar associations. We could understand the difficulties which the judicial officer was facing. We could understand and comprehend the difficulties which the members of the bar association were facing. We could understand and comprehend the difficulties which the litigants were understanding. So this training, so to say, as a probationer officer in Tripura, helped me deal with a very, humongous task which was assigned to me in Bihar. And I must share this with you, that when I went to Bihar, so there used to be mentioning every day for listing of the matters because of huge volumes. When I came to Tripura, the pendency of the High Court at that point of time was 3600. The pendency of the lower courts, if I correctly remember the figure, was, Brother Lodh would correct me if I'm wrong, or Dhiman, who was the CPC at that point of time, would correct me, was about 60,000. So when I came here, so the first thing I did to myself was that get myself educated and appraised and informed of the tools which we were to utilize for the purposes of dispensing justice, and that was the computerization, the computers. So we worked extensively. I remember, I can see, if I correctly remember, Debarma. See, so Debarma was there. Anshman. So he would get irritated every day, and every day he would be at my house at 12 o'clock at night, and we worked together. And thank you for educating me. And that is how I was able to apply information and technology in Bihar. Resultantly, that Bihar today, when I left, was the first court in the country having the highest digital filing, e-filing in the country. A system was evolved, of course, because of COVID. I can't see Pandey. I can't see him. Pandey, yes. बिहार आप तो मुलाकात नहीं की आपने बिहार आके. Anyhow, I could see. So we were able to transform, and the transformation was it was a momentous tectonic shift, I would say, in the mindset from physical filing to digital filing. COVID, of course, gave that opportunity, and we were able to digitalize everything so much so that none came. Even today, when I left, there was no need to have a physical hearing. One could sit at home, the bench partner would sit at home, the court master would sit at home, and hear our proceedings, dictate the order, and digitally upload it. So everything was there on the website. Both these judicial officers whose name I took came out with an idea, which I applied here. Why is it that the pendency in Tripura was lopsided? At the High Court level only 3600, and at the Lord Judiciary 60,000. There was no explanation to it. So when we looked at it, then we realized that most of the officers perhaps were having, for various reasons, had wanting to apply for leave and so on and so forth. So we digitalized that, and we uploaded the information on the website. I don't know whether your website still carries it or not, but we had a system where the leave of a judicial officer was made online, and it was uploaded on the website. And I realized that immediately the pendency, it had a direct impact on the reduction of pendency. Another tool which we implemented here was the ADR mechanism. If Brother Lord would recollect, that we adopted a progressive approach of implementing Section 89 and having the cases, informing the people of their rights. And young friends, I am saying this with great emphasis. Let me tell you one thing, that the judicial officer, newly appointed judicial officer who is to discharge his functions on the first day, is required to and has the powers of doing so what the Honorable Judge of a Supreme Court has. He has the very same power of dispensing justice under the Constitution and in terms of the Constitution as the Judge of the Supreme Court is, except for 142, 136, 226, he cannot exercise. But what all can be done under these three powers under the Constitution can be done also by the judge at the sub-judge level, or the ACGM level, or the CGM level. Illustratively, I will just give you the Union Carbide case. What was held by the Union Carbide by Honorable the Supreme Court, the same power the CGM would have had or had at that point in time. The first amendment which came in the Constitution, Rameshwar Prasad, pertained to the land laws, sealing laws. It arose not because of the petition filed under Article 226 or 227, no, or 132 or 32. It came only because of the judgment delivered by a sub-judge who expanded or who enunciated the scopes of the Constitution. Now, therefore, illustratively, another example I will give, the power of nuisance. Now, yesterday I was traveling in the state in your state or my state. I realized that of late there are huge garbage which has been splitted all over. So, under CRPC, the power to initiate action under nuisance, public nuisance, it is not necessary that the acting Chief Justice would take us home out of PAL and initiate action for implementing the various environmental laws or laws pertaining to pollution. Even you at your level can do it. So the emphasis is this, the point is this, that you have to be absolutely well-read and open and sensitive to the needs of the people. Therefore I emphasize that you need to travel and travel. Another issue which I can point out to you. Now if imagine North Tripura is the only area where I have not been. Rest all I have been in the entire state. Now imagine that think of yourself as a judicial officer, and therefore you will be able to relate to the common man and the sufferings or the needs, if not sufferings, then the needs of the common man. A lady judicial officer has to travel from Tripura, North Tripura is the North Tripura to attend this conclave here. Two fact situations I will give. You are travelling by car, which is given by the High Court, or by the judicial. The another person is a lady who is also travelling by public transport. Now, where would that lady use public conveniences for covering a distance of 6 to 7 hours? Where would an old and infirm patient, an aged person, use these public conveniences? Because there are none in existence. Now when we set up the highways, and these are the issues which come to our mind, these are just illustrations I am giving. When these highways are set up, then these are the provisions which are mandated. The contractor necessarily has to put up this infrastructure. So only when you travel you will realize that and relate to the issues at the grassroots level, the ground level. Therefore I always insist on travel, and there is no better education than travel. Coming to travel also, I must insist on one thing, that we are not government servants. Let us be very clear. Our mindset is not hum sarkari babu or sarkari naukar nahi. I am sure Hindi can be understood, no? So I am now speaking in both the languages. We are here to serve the nation. We are not sarkari babus. We are not bureaucrats. We are neither politicians. But we serve under the Constitution, and it is with this spirit, each passing day, with each passing breath, that we have to serve. And also let me tell you that we are not in a rat race. Because if we consider this to be a rat race, then we will become only rats only. Then we will not discharge and dispense the functions which are mandated under the Constitution. We have to transform ourselves. It's a process of continued education. And in this continued education, we transform ourselves as greater human beings. Because unless and until you show compassion, you show love, and you show affection in the discharge of your judicial functions, you will not be able to render justice. So the moment you transform yourself as good human beings or greater human beings, not to be compared with other, because each person is a separate individual. But keeping in view the constitutional framework in your mind, then we will be in a position to render justice. Now, what is justice? When we have, there are so many definitions. I don't want to today go and make this as an abstract lecture or an abstract. Rule of law and justice. There are so many definitions. Supreme Court illustratively has dealt with this issue. But for a person who is before us, justice is only that which from the dais, sitting on the dais, we don't frown upon him. We don't look down upon him. Because from there he is looking upon us to see that he is heard patiently, and that he will get a decision which in his heart he knows is the correct decision. In a case, of course, you have to decide, you have to deliver a judgment. It has to be in favor of one party, it has to be against one party. But he has the satisfaction of having been heard. So, justice has to be rendered in the manner where we maintain our discipline, our equanimity, show love and compassion. Even if we are disallowing his prayer, it has to be done in a manner so as to not to make it offensive. I must also say, when I said that we are not babus, that we are judges 24/7. We are as much a judge, we have to maintain as much the temperament and the judicial discipline in the court as we have to do so outside. I'll tell you 3-4 illustrations I can give you. When we go home, the person who caters to us, provided by the institution, how do we interact with him? How do we deal with him? Do we take care of him? Do we think of his family? When we go to the market, what impression are we leaving upon the person with whom we interact? When we go to any public place, how is our act and conduct? Because each judge is a key. Each judge, I am again saying, is a key to that great building of great public opinion of a judiciary which is well-meaning, which is informed, and also which takes care of not only those who come to them, but also himself or itself. So our act inside court and outside court should be same 24/7. We are judges, we have to work in that manner. Tools which were adopted or which can be adopted by each one of you, as I have already said, is the ADR mechanism. Because one thing is for sure, that the more you inform the people, and for this I am sure the acting Chief Justice would be would have already taken these measures, that the Legal Services Authority is a great instrument, I would put like this, and there is a mandate under the Constitution. Part 4 of the Constitution mandates us now that there should be a justice delivery system, and it is only pursuant to that the Legal Services Authority Act was enacted. So we have to, again correlating it, the more you travel the more you will realize that we don't have to dispense justice to those who come to the court. Earlier, the concept of justice was only rendering our judgments within the four corners of the walls of the court. But no, now we are under constitutional obligation and duty. That is to reach out to those who do not have access to justice. The moment you step out, you will realize that here is a marginalized person. Here is a person who is not even aware of the rights, its obligations, aware of the rights, that you can help him, sensitize him, make them aware, and ensure that justice is delivered at the earliest. Illustratively, land acquisition proceedings are commenced, and I will give you another example. Land acquisition proceedings are commenced. Now, there are two options with the litigant. A, he does not know, he will go to the bar, the lawyer, whatever he will advise him, he will do that, he will file petitions for claim. Perhaps, whenever such proceedings are initiated under the statute, special camps are held to educate the people, help them complete the formalities, and without involvement of middlemen, the compensation is delivered directly into the bank account, which will help cut down the litigation at different levels. Himachal Pradesh, I will give you one example. We have time, no? Yes. Himachal Pradesh, I will give you one example. And before I give that example, I must tell you on this, that in the justice delivery system, we have another great stakeholder. And that stakeholder is the bar. I have always maintained that the bar is the repository of the judges, because they have all judges at different levels, be it at the level of the sub-judge, ADJ, High Court, or even Supreme Court. They have to come, there's a common pool, that's about all. They have to come from there only. So we must have a very, very strong and independent bar also. An informed bar, an educated bar. And that bar must be such that which helps the judge, the bar who prepares the matter and presents it fairly and help the judge deliver the judgment at the earliest. We cannot forget them. In whatever our programs are, we must engage the bar. Now, coming back to the example of Himachal Pradesh, I was the chairman of the Legal Services Authority there. So we reached out into the tribal areas and informed and wanted to know that suddenly there was a spurt of litigation pertaining to in district Manali, in Kulu and Manali. Most of you perhaps may have been there. That there was a huge litigation with regard to the partition of the property. So we only wanted to know why is it that the litigation has increased. And the reason was this, that the prices had shot up, A, land acquisition, B, industry having come up there, tourism having developed. And so since prices had gone up very high, so therefore there were suits for compensation and partition filed. And why they were filed? The reason was this, that about 10 years or 15 years prior to the initiation of the litigation, the parties, the husband and wife, had gone to the lawyer and seeking a divorce. So a deed of divorce was prepared by a notary and notarized and handed over to the parties. And parties thought that yes, this is what divorce petition is, this is what the process, and it's complete. So after they had children, they got married, remarried, and they were children. But on record, they were still, in law, they were still continuing to be married as couples, and their progeny filed these cases. So then we had a special drive of sensitizing the people, making them aware of their rights, the matrimonial laws, and that way all these, especially in the tribal areas, people are not informed, they are illiterate, they are gullible, they are innocent, they depend upon their lawyers. That is the only source of information, right or wrong, for them. So a special drive was initiated, and then it took about 2 years to reach out to every household, that just in case if there are such documents lying in their home where parties have settled, please go to the court immediately and have a proper deed or process of settlement in whichever way entered into. So these are the ways and the tools which I am saying that ADR mechanism, artificial intelligence is now being spoken about. Whatever definition you may say so, these are only tools for enabling us to render justice at the earliest. They are not to substitute our mind, human beings. I am 100% of this view. These are tools. So engage yourselves by these artificial tools, computerization which is there. Adopt for ADR mechanism. Have a code of conduct, self-code of conduct for yourself, so that it instills confidence in the minds of the people. And ultimately, as I had said earlier, that you are the pillar of the strongest pillar of democracy. And each one of you is a link in that chain which makes it stronger. Because Tripura is one such state. I must also inform Honorable the Acting Chief Justice and Honorable Justice Lodh that I am your great ambassador. I have always been your great ambassador. Wherever I have been going, I have always been saying that Tripura is a place worth visiting, and you must visit. It's got natural beauty, it's got lots of places in abundance to be seen, with diverse interest which everyone has in their mind. A lot of beauty is there, and interacting with the tribal people has been my passion. I remember Brother Lodh and Brother Talpatra, we went to that lake. What was the name of the lake? Numbur Lake. 2-3 times we went there, and we interacted with the people. Chabimora, we travelled yesterday, yes, I travelled. But earlier we went from Chabimora to Maharani Ganj, and travelled to the borders also. There was a hut at the border hut, and that is how I never forget Tripura. Tripura has been great training ground, so to say, for me, and it has helped me transform as a great person. Another thing which I need to just 2-3 points I wish to cover. I've already covered. See, I'm always of this view that you're answerable only to one person. Kindly pardon me, Honorable Acting Chief Justice, or for that matter the inspecting judge. You are only answerable to one person, and that person is yourself. And above you, the God Almighty. That's about all. So if you have a good sleep at night and you wake up fresh in the morning with no worries, I think that's nothing better than that. If you sit in the court as per the court timings, right from 10 to 4 or whatever the timings are, automatically things start falling in place. At least those who have worked with me I know that even when there was not much work, because in Tripura the pendency was just 2,600 at that point of time. So I had an option of sitting in the court till 4 o'clock or getting up at 2 o'clock and 1 o'clock and go back. No, but all three of us, right from 10 o'clock till lunch, and then lunch also hurriedly finish, and then as per the court timing we sat. So we maintained discipline, and when you maintain this discipline in your life, your staff will also maintain discipline. And when the staff maintains discipline, sitting there, he will not sit idle. He will fill up your forms, he will fill up all registers, which of course must have been digitalized now. But the entire information will be passed on immediately. You pass an order of release of a convict. Of what use is it if it is not implemented immediately? The order is not transmitted to the authorities because it affects his civil rights, constitutional rights. Talking of constitutional rights, we must also take care of one thing, and that is that we are not always to think of the right of a victim, right of the accused, but we must also think of the right of the victim in equal measure. That has to be kept in mind. People have a lot of, I will call it difference of opinion, but people have different aspects or opinion on it. Some say that part 3 is important. I say that part 3 is important, undoubtedly, the Constitution, but equally part 4 and part 4A, constitutional duties, not only rights but duties is also very, very important. And that duty, we had started some programs here under the Legal Services Authority Act of inculcating, informing and inculcating the sense of the patriotism, nationalism, our love and compassion for all living beings. That's what part 4A really talks about. Have concern for the environment, have concern for the rivers, the trees, for each one, everything which is there, because these are our concern for the heritage, the art and culture. We are duty bound under the Constitution to protect and preserve that. We are also duty bound to ensure that it is not allowed to be, denuded in any manner. On the contrary, it has to be taken to a higher level. So these are the issues which I think, as a judicial officer, be it the judge of the Supreme Court, judge of the High Courts, or even a newly appointed judicial officer can do that. I am also of this view that while discharging your judicial functions, you must take care of your families. The biggest contributors to the success of the judge is the happiness, the health and the happiness, and the support which one gets from the families. Because unless and until you are not happy at home, your family is not happy, you will not be happy. If you are not happy, you will not be able to discharge your functions. So I wish them good luck, wish well for them, and I'm sure you'll be communicating this sentiment of mine to them. I have already discussed the issue of sitting on the dais. We don't have to look down upon, we have to look up. They have to look up to us. So in this manner we have to render justice, which instills confidence and faith in the mind of the people. Again, I will say that my discussion is not in an abstract. I am a very practical man. So you have to apply the fundamental principles of law in a given fact situation, which will vary from person to person, perception to perception. In a case, a particular judge may think that it's a case made out for bail. Another judicial officer may think that no, it is not a case made out for bail. Both may be right, but perception has to be there that yes, you have applied your mind, heard. In this, I seek a favor from all of you, 102 plus 2 here. And one favor which I seek is this. Friends, at the level of the High Court, I could have afforded to commit mistake. At the level of the Supreme Court, I cannot do that. Even 0.1% error in the discharge of my judicial functions is neither expected nor afforded. So, I request all of you to please reach out to me. People here know that in the last 4 years, I am very, very open. Those who have interacted with me, I have responded to them. My particulars, I will request Honorable the Chief Justice to please have my email and my telephone number circulated to the judicial officers. And I request you to please interact with me, read the judgments which are rendered not only by me, but all the judgments of these, perhaps the other honorable judges, and also point out issues, the mistakes. I am open for all criticism, which is just and fair. Please read and tell me rather, I'm not talking of others, that how perhaps I may have erred and how better I can do to serve this great nation. What all other issues can be there, because the power of this Honorable Supreme Court on 142 is expansive and extensive. We can do so many things there, but those ideas must come from you. So I request you, I beseech you in fact, to please reach out to me and let me know what all I can do to help serve this great nation. Last year, Legal Services Authority started a campaign, Azadi Ka, what was it? Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. We are celebrating this year. So I not counter question, but I gave a counter proposal. I said, what is this Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav of this year? Every moment has to be, every breath of our life has to be Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. We have to celebrate it every year. What is wrong about it? And that is what it should be. That's the spirit with which we must continue to dispense justice. One thing which I must also share with you, and it is this which I learnt at Bihar, is that what happens is, I never came across any case in Tripura, but I came across certain matters there. See, when I was saying that we are a stakeholder in democracy, then economic development of the nation is also part of nation building. And unless and until there is economic development, as a nation we cannot progress. The world has shrunk. The borders, the geographical borders are no longer there. It's become a very, very small place. Matter will come, a suit for a contract or any development related project will come to the sub-judge, because here you don't have original jurisdiction at the High Court level. A stay is granted, and that stay will continue to be granted endlessly for endless period. It will go to the sub-judge first, 1 or 2 years, appellate court 1 or 2 years, High Court 1 or 2 years, with the result that there is retardation in the economic development. My only request to all judicial officers here is this, and that's the philosophy I have adopted everywhere, that when matters come to A, civil liberties, rights of an individual, and B, economic development, then expeditiously, without delay, we must decide. Governments are bound to favor, there is bound to be nepotism, there is now bound to be arbitrariness in governmental action. But then we cannot add a fourth facet, that is delay, in that process. We must decide the matters, tell the government, tell the executive. When I say the government, I don't mean the political government, but the political executive, that here you are wrong, and decide it immediately. That is the only way if there is economic development and we don't become obstruction in the economic development process, that we'll be able to ensure that this nation again becomes a superpower. So, friends, with these thoughts of mine, I request now that should there be any clarification or anything, any doubts or any questions, I am open for it. We can proceed. I can see the time is already overrun, but nonetheless I am open for anything, please. That's it. Over to you, Chief Justice. Thank you.
Thank you, my Lord. Your message on our social responsibility and your warm words as a head of the family, the manner in which you have expressed are well noted. As suggested by Justice Karol, the floor is open. Yes, any interaction from the judicial officers?
माय लॉर्ड प्रणाम। क्वेश्चन कुछ नहीं है, बस आपके साथ जो यहाँ पे समय बिताए गए हैं उनके कुछ पल आपके साथ शेयर करूँगा। मुझे याद है जब पहली बार आपने मुझे कॉल किया था, उस दिन मैं क्रिकेट खेल रहा था एक दो जुडिशियल ऑफिसर के साथ, और संडे दिन था। एकाएक खबर हाई कोर्ट से आई कि आपको हाई कोर्ट बुलाया गया है। माय लॉर्ड इमीडिएटली हम गए। माय लॉर्ड ने सीधा कहा कि 24/7 काम करोगे? मैं कहा कि जी माय लॉर्ड करूँगा। दूसरा ये रहा माय लॉर्ड, मैं सही आप जब यहाँ से जाने लगे तो आपने कहा था कि बिहार ज़रूर आना। माय लॉर्ड जब यहाँ पे थे तो उन्होंने देखा मैं एक ऐसा ऑफिसर हूँ बहुत ही कम छुट्टियाँ लेता हूँ और मैं आपके पास नहीं आ पाया। इसके पीछे रीज़न यही है कि उतना दिन तक मैं, अगर आप आज भी रिकॉर्ड दिखवाएंगे तो मैं बहुत कम छुट्टियाँ लेता हूँ, मैं बिहार बहुत कम ही जाता हूँ। माय लॉर्ड के साथ अच्छा लगा। माय लॉर्ड, मैं उस समय मेंबर सेक्रेटरी था। माय लॉर्ड पहले चीफ जस्टिस थे इस हाई कोर्ट के, जो कि कंचनपुर गए लीगल एड प्रोग्राम में, गांडा छड़ा गए लीगल एड प्रोग्राम में। वहाँ के लोगों के लिए भी बहुत आकर्षक चीज़ चाहिए, क्योंकि उन्होंने कभी नहीं देखा था, कंचनपुर में कभी किसी ने नहीं देखा था कि चीफ जस्टिस हाई कोर्ट का आया हो किसी लीगल एड प्रोग्राम में। माय लॉर्ड डांटते तो थे लेकिन अगले दिन एक्नॉलेज भी करते थे। माय लॉर्ड के घर हमने हलवा भी खाया है और उससे पहले डांट भी खाई है, लेकिन वो अगले बार ही तुरंत कहते थे कि डांटा इसीलिए कि तू कुछ सीखा होगा। माय लॉर्ड हमेशा अच्छा लगा। सबसे बड़ी चीज़ है, आप जिस लेवल से सोचते थे, मेरे को कई बार आपने कहा कि तुम मुझे बांग्ला सिखाओ, इसलिए कि तुमने बांग्ला सीखा है, तुम बांग्ला जानते नहीं थे, तुमने आके यहाँ सीखा है। हमने एक दो बार कोशिश किया, छोटी मोटी मुलाकात में कभी कभी एक दो बातें आपको बताया करते थे। अच्छा लगा कि इतने बड़े ओहदे पे होते हुए आपने हमें पूरा मौका दिया खुल के बात करने का, कभी भी नाराज़ नहीं होने दिया। अगर कभी डांटा तो अगले ही पल उसके बाद फिर आपने कुछ खिलाया भी और प्यार से समझाया भी। अच्छा लगा और हमें लगता है कि ये जीवन भर याद रहेगा। माय लॉर्ड, पिछली बार कोविड में तबीयत आपकी ख़राब थी, मुझे खबर मिला, मैंने आपको तुरंत फ़ोन किया। आप उस समय हॉस्पिटल में, एम्स में थे पटना, आपने रिस्पॉन्ड भी किया। बहुत ही अंदर से अच्छा लगा और हमने यही दुआ किया कि आप जल्दी ठीक हो जाएं। भगवान से यही प्रार्थना है कि आप स्वस्थ रहें, ठीक रहें। आप यहाँ से गए हैं, हमारे लिए बहुत बड़ी उपलब्धि है। आप तीसरे हाई कोर्ट चीफ जस्टिस हैं यहाँ के, जो कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट में पहुँचे हैं। माय लॉर्ड, हमें बहुत अच्छा लगेगा। हमने सुप्रीम कोर्ट देखा है, कभी सुप्रीम कोर्ट में जज का चेंबर नहीं देखा है। आपका चेंबर देखने जरूर आएंगे एक बार वहाँ पे। थैंक यू माय लॉर्ड।
मुझे आई हैव टू, my immediate response is one, all are welcome to Supreme Court. Two, from this platform, I seek apology for those whom I have hurt in the process of discharge of my judicial functions. I have had no malice against anyone. I only worked for the institution and for the good of the institution, for the welfare of the people of the state. And if I have, in the process of discharge of my functions, have hurt anyone, I seek apology. Thirdly, I wish one thing. He mentioned that there are 3 Chief Justices who have gone to Supreme Court. I am looking for the day when someone from there reaches to the Supreme Court. That is what I am looking at, and that is what I aspire. I always tell people there that you have a different mindset of the Northeast. Unless and until you travel and interact at the base level, you will not realize the enormity of the warmth, the love and the affection which people have, how simple they are, and how well-meaning they are, how culturally rich they are. So I wish all of you sitting here good luck to be there. Thank you. Yes.
Good morning, Lordship. Actually, I am very happy to see your Lordship here in Tripura again. Lordship, actually, I am going to seek your Lordship's guidance as to the materials which we put on the reasonings while passing any judgments in district judiciary.
Can you say that again, please?
Yes. Lordship, actually I am going to seek your Lordship's guidance as to the materials which we put on the reasonings while passing the judgments in our district judiciary. Actually, Lordship, when we pass judgment, we first have to come to the conclusion, and before conclusion we have to give reasonings, and the reasonings is based on the facts. Actually, Lordship, while give reasonings, we sometimes refer to various extraneous materials such as the case laws passed by the Honorable High Court and Apex Court, and sometimes we also refer judgments of the courts of other countries. Sometimes we refer materials in religious scriptures. Few days back, Lordships, I was observing a debate on live law, and in that debate one of our renowned lawyer of Honorable Supreme Court, he had observed that a judge cannot refer to any religious scriptures and he must give reasonings only on the constitutional basis. So my question is, Lordship, because it is the great sage Monu is regarded as the first lawgiver in India, and in various law examinations as well as in CLAT examinations, it is also question is also asked that who is the first lawgiver in India. The answer must come that the Monu. When we go through the Manusmriti, we find various materials, and sometimes I find that such materials are very much important while we come to the conclusions and reasonings. So where is the harm if we refer to such materials besides the various court judgments?
Now you see, recently there was one article written, if you, I don't know whether you read, subscribe to Live Law or Bar and Bench, I am not sure which of these sites were there. At least I don't go there. I am not influenced by these sites. But someone had forwarded that article, I will send it to you. The relationship between the judgment writing and the literature. That article, if you read, you will find an answer there. See, when I went to Bihar, so out of inquisitiveness, I wanted to know that we had read about Arth Shastra of Kautilya, world famous, renowned, undisputedly a great document in itself. So I said that who discovered this book written by Kautilya? And I was surprised that none in Bihar had an answer. And the answer lied in the translation of the scriptures, of the manuscripts, which was there done by a library in Mysore. And that too, it attained prominence only when it went to Germany. And from German scholars brought it back to India. So when we talk of any religious scriptures, it may have a bearing, it may not have a bearing. It all depends upon each individual's upbringing. But if, for example, any religious book is there, you may quote it as not a religious book, but perhaps a piece of literature. There is no difficulty in doing so. But how do we write judgments? As you said, that in my view, judgment should be absolutely, you see, at your level, whatever you write will go unsung, apart from giving satisfaction to you or to the litigant. It may add value only when it is brought to the appellate level. And how the appellate level it is appreciated and applied. it is dependent upon each individual. I may have a temperament, I may not have a temperament to even comprehend and understand it. But at your level, what is important is brevity. 1. 2, facts. What I was taught, I am only saying that. And this is an academy, therefore we are having these discussions. This is not a mandate. What we were taught was only this, that we must be absolutely thorough on facts. 1. Rather than going into the judge-made law, you just first must know the statutory provisions which are applicable. And once when you know the statutory provisions which are applicable, then read those statutory provisions and how they are relevant and can be applied to the given fact situation. You may have your interpretation. To cross-check whether your interpretation is correct or not is what you have to look into the judge-made law. Judge-made law today may change from time to time. Today, the Honorable the Supreme Court may say, may have an X view on interpretation. Illustratively, the Arbitrations Act, we have in the last almost a decade a divergent view in the Supreme Court itself. On interim, the currency and the duration of the interim injunction itself we have a divergent view. So you first see how you interpret it, and then only for verification or cross-checking, then go to the judge-made law. This is how I would say at your level you should deal with the judgments. The language of the judgment is important. To the litigant, what matters is whether what you have written he is able to comprehend and whether it makes sense in terms of logic or not. That's what it is. So that's my answer to it. Those who have rubbed on the wrong side, so to say, cause them a lot of inconvenience, they can also stand up and ask, please. And I'll tell you the reason why I was right or wrong at that time. Miss Shankari, I still remember that poem, beautiful poem you had written, Shine, 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 always. I have it with me. Where are you posted these days?
My Lord, now I am posted as District and Session Judge, Khwai.
Khwai.
Yes.
That's a great place. Khwai is a great place.
Yes, visit Khwai, my Lord. It's an invitation on my behalf. Wish you best of luck always, my Lord. May Lord Jagannath shower his blessings on you always.
Thank you. Thank you. Those who are from amongst the newly inducted, I am not familiar with them. Acha. Good. You are from, how many are from Tripura? All are from Tripura. Oh. But I can see that there is a very welcome step that transformation in terms of gender inclusion into the justice delivery system. Very good. My only request to you is that don't abandon the state for greener pastures. Continue, it's a good state. Your families are all here? Good, very good. Please kindly have your seats.
With the permission of the chair, we conclude this fourth business session. Now, may I take the honor to request Honorable the Chief Justice Acting, Mr. Justice T. Amarnath Ghosh, to felicitate Honorable Mr. Justice Sanjay Karol, Judge, Supreme Court of India, on behalf of our High Court.
Please.
Felicitation with our traditional Risha. Flower bouquet. A small memento which is a replica of Mata Tripura Sundari. Thank you, Lordship. Again, I shall take the honor to request Honorable the Chief Justice Acting, Mr. Justice T. Amarnath Ghosh, to deliver the valedictory address.
Valedictory after a break or right now? Shall we continue? Suggestions what you have given regarding uploading the information about the officers, their leave and even their disposal. And if every day we upload it and if we show the officer who is giving a disposal and full attendance in the top, so whoever is in the bottom, so that will motivate them to raise on the top.
We were able to bring it down from 60,000 to 40,000 when I left. Only because I didn't want to say.
Well, we have reached the final stage of the conclave, and with all pleasure, I am to state that these 2 days were just wonderful. So much of points has been shared and discussed by the honorable speakers. New dimensions have been opened up, new thoughts have been imbibed, and so much to do going back home. Yesterday we heard the representatives of the bar, the president and the chairman bar council. They were emphasizing on 2 issues. One, justice delayed, justice denied, and justice hurried is buried. And 2 is with regard to the relation between the bench and the bar. In this aspect, insofar as Tripura is concerned, I've been observing that all the officers have been doing an excellent job, except a rare a couple of incidences where some reasoning is lacking. And compared to earlier statistics, sir, with pride I can say, Tripura, lower judiciary and higher judiciary stand almost number one in the country, where we have a very less pendency of more than 5 years, and presently the pendency is 45,000 around, about 5,000 cases per district. And in High Court, we have 1,300 cases only. And again, to underline, when I came here, sir, we saw the pendency from 2016, and today we are actively deciding the final hearing matters in second appeals and 302 criminal appeals of 2022 cases, which is really an applaudable situation, sir. Except a handful cases where certain procedural aspects are involved with regarding to bringing them LRs on record or services of notices for not having proper address in rare cases of in 21 or 20. But on the streamline, we are in, dealing with 22 matters. We always, even I came from the bar and feel that there should be an harmonious relation between the bench and the bar. We should not forget that though we are judicial officers today, but yesterday we were standing in front of the bench representing as a lawyer, ventilating the case of a client. So just imagine if we were not given a proper audience or we were not given a proper respect by the bench, how painful it would be. So just for a moment, think that you are the position of the counsel who is standing in front of you, and try to accommodate, and also see how best we can deliver justice. At times it comes to my mind that if a client is not in a position to help himself, though he has a good case and injustice is caused to him, are we going to further continue doing injustice to him by dismissing his case, saying that you don't have a witness in your favor? There we can always use our judicious mind, and we can always read in between the lines. Our mind at that moment should work as a spark. This only comes when we try to involve ourselves in the case. And the Mr. Sujit Ghosh, he has really enlightened us on different issues regarding constitutional silence and morality, and also on the issue of liberty. Professor Dr. Mohan Gopal has very categorically cleared to our benefit that there is no conflict between legislature and judiciary. Normally, by reading the news items, articles, by watching television news, we feel that always there is a conflict between the executive and judiciary. But no. It is just a person who is there sitting in the executive, the manner in which he responds creates an impression that there is a conflict. But on paper, on ground reality, with regard to the powers delegated in the Constitution, there is no conflict. So each one of us, whether it is a legislature or a judiciary or a executive, has to be respected, since they all constitute Constitution and it is the pillar and the foundation of our nation. Being a part of the judicial fraternity and also the head of the family, as I mentioned, I feel it as my duty to lay down some points for my judicial officers. This I have been just ventilating, sir, to you all. And for your information with regard to the functioning of a High Court, I take it privilege to say in the august presence of Justice Karol, who is our guiding head of the family in Supreme Court. My Lord, as I have just indicated, with regard to the disposal of the cases, from March 22 to March 23, the total disposal of cases in Tripura is 2,246 and the present pendency is 1,300. On 1st of June 2022, we have started virtual courts in Tripura to facilitate online payments of fines. On 11/7/2022, we have launched awareness program Save Married Women in State Legal Services Authority. This came to our mind when myself sitting with Justice Lodh, we were deciding criminal appeals. Number of cases were there under 302 life imprisonment where for whatever the reason, husband killing wife. And ultimately the result is mother died and father is in life imprisoned behind the bars and the children or became orphans. So we have taken up through our legal services to grassroots level, educating them, and we have also utilized the services of our para-volunteers and also the localites to pass on the information to us so that we will go and counsel them. If they are able to stay together comfortably, fine, otherwise they can part instead of killing each other and making the children orphans. On 12/8/2022, electronic payment of court fees and fines was also introduced, sir, by e-portal system. Incorporation of various new rules and amendments to the existing rules. On 25/5/2022, High Court of Tripura Services amendments we have brought in. They were notified. And 18/11/2022, Tripura District Court's Ministerial Staff Amendment Rules. 4/1/2023, Tripura District Court's Ministerial Staff Amendment Rules 2023 were notified. 4/1/2023, High Court of Tripura Services Appointment Conditions Rules were notified. 4/1/2023, Tripura District Court Ministerial Rules Amendment 2023 was notified. 7/1/2023. Sir, all these things are during my tenure, sir. Congratulations. Sir, thank you. 7/1/23, High Court of Tripura, live streaming and recording of court proceedings. 28/2/2023, High Court of Tripura, Criminal First Amendment Rules and Orders of 2023 notified. 12/10/2022, the new administrative and academic building, sir, in Tripura Judicial Academy has been inaugurated by Her Excellency the President. And 1/11/2022, e-filing version 3.0, that is also one of its kind, sir. We stand under one of the top high courts, state judiciary, sir. We have introduced this. 5/1/2023, High Court of Tripura Rules 2023 were notified, sir. Before this, though Tripura High Court has been formed in 2013, till 2023, we don't have our separate rules. We were following Guwahati High Court rules. 5/1/2023, High Court of Tripura Rules notified. 9/1/2023, a dispensary was inaugurated in the High Court premises. 13/1/2023, new hostel building and VIP suites in Judicial Academy. 16/1/2023, foundation stone laying ceremony of a High Court building of subdivisional courts at Kovai, Teliamura. 17/1/2023, mega health camp was held in High Court premises, and on the same day we could procure a full-fledged ambulance to the High Court. 23/1/2023, visit of Parliamentary Standing Committee, and there we had interaction, and they have expressed their concern regarding Tripura and Manipur states working with less strength of judges and also not having a full-time Chief Justice. The matter has been taken up, sir, in Parliament. We have read in the newspaper recently. 26/1/2023, we have started Tripura State Legal Services in a permanent building, sir. On 26/1/2023, a new staircase to shorten the pedestrians' path to reach the High Court has been inaugurated. On 9/2/2023, foundation stone for sports arena and also an entrance arch and water dispensers have been made functional in the High Court. 15/3/2023, virtual inauguration of electronic court fee and fine defacement module. 24/1/2023, and thereafter, every week we have been conducting, with the support of Brahma Kumaris and as well as Ramakrishna Mission, a spiritual lecture for personality development and empowerment of our staff and advocates and also the litigants. Recently, for the first of its nature, sir, in entire country, we have in coordination with UCO Bank, we will be shortly coming up with a security payment of court fee by way of a security card. So the main features of this card is, sir, when the card is swiped, this is again a cashless court fee payment. If a card is swiped, automatically the name of the counsel will appear on the receipt printout, and for what purpose, court fees or any miscellaneous, and the amount including Naya Paise he can, and he can stick this to the filing paper so that his case will be accepted. And there cannot be any misuse of this card. If any other advocate has to use it, his name will not appear. So it amounts to misusing of the card. So the fees, court fees will not be accepted. This will be an exclusive property of the advocate. And bank has promised to release around 300 cards at on the first phase level. And once it is released, it will come into operation in Tripura for the first time. So with this, I conclude the valedictory session, and I thank one and all for being with us. And also once again, my pranam to the Honorable Justice Karol for accepting my invitation and request. Immediately when I said, sir, we need your presence in Tripura for our judicial conclave and celebrations of our 10th anniversary. Without waiting for a second, he said, brother, you can take down, I am coming. That's so kind of you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you one and all.
Thank you, Lordship, for your kind and valuable words. I would now request Sri Vishwajit Pandit, respected Registrar General, High Court of Tripura, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good noon to all. Your Lordship, Honorable Mr. Justice Sanjay Karol, Judge Supreme Court of India, Honorable Mr. Justice T. Amarnath Gaur, Chief Justice Acting of the High Court of Tripura, Honorable Mr. Justice Arindam Lodh, Judge High Court of Tripura, esteemed invitees and my respected colleagues, brothers and sisters. As Registrar General of the High Court of Tripura, it's my proud privilege to offer the vote of thanks at the conclusion of the 9th Annual Judicial Conclave organized by Tripura Judicial Academy under the aegis of the High Court of Tripura. At the outset, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Honorable Mr. Justice Sanjay Karol, Judge Supreme Court of India, for not only obliging us with his Lordship's inspiring presence during the conclave, but also enriching us with his insights. At the event, like annual judicial conclave, can only be successful by the single-minded dedication and hard work of the team members, and it was facilitated only because of iconic vision of our Honorable Chief Justice, Honorable Mr. Justice Amarnath Gaur, that ensured us that entire conclave could be planned and executed in a systematic and efficient manner. Lordship, we remain indebted to you for the same. I would like to express our sense of gratitude to Honorable Mr. Justice Arindam Lodh for guiding us in each and every minute detail of this program, and also for encouraging us to leave no stone unturned for making the event a grand success. I would like to express our heartfelt thanks to Sri Sujit Ghosh, Advocate Supreme Court of India, Professor Dr. G. Mohan Gopal, a jurist, and Srimati Sarmishta Das Gupta, Deputy Director General NIC, for accepting our invitations and for enhancing the intellectual output of this year's conclave by their deliberations. A word of thanks is also placed on record to acknowledge and honor the tireless efforts of Director Tripura Judicial Academy, Sri S. Datta Purkayastho, and all other staff members of Tripura Judicial Academy, whose commitment to the cause contributed to the success of this program. I would also like to place on record our sincere thanks to all the learned judicial officers for their meaningful participation in the conclave. Officers of the registry also deserve applause and gratitude for managing all the logistic and other preparatory works relating to this conclave. A word of thanks is also due to the anchors of the conclave for comparing the entire program efficiently. All the staff members of the High Court of Tripura and all other stakeholders involved in this program, including members of the press and our vendors and suppliers, are also duly acknowledged by me, and I thank each one of them from the bottom of my heart. I would end by saying that behind the success of very program are countless unsung heroes, and I assured them that we are thankful to each one of them. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. With this, we have come to the end of this 2 days annual judicial conclave. I request all to join for lunch, and before that, we will request all to stand in honor to our national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
All are requested to proceed for the lunch.